Hello, thank you for joining me. That is a Blackpool boat tram, but we're not in Blackpool today. We're in Crich in Derbyshire. There goes the tram heading down to town. We've come here today for the Red Oktober event. So I've come here in my Lada. We're going to have a walk around, we're going to walk down to town. We're going to have a look at some of the other Eastern Bloc cars. There's quite a few Trabants and a few Wartburgs, a couple of other interesting cars, and of course we've got the trams running. So it's really quite an exciting day. I really like this bridge. I could literally stand here all day and watch trams. It's a really good viewpoint. Trams don't actually run on this tram track, they've just put some tram rails down. So what we're going to do, we're going to follow our way down. We're going to end up going down and underneath the bridge, and then we'll walk down and see what we can find. So the IFA Club, they're up here in the Derbyshire stroke Peak District area this weekend. Yesterday we did a drive around the Peak District, so that was quite fun. I did a bit of filming, so you can see that video as well of the cars, but I don't actually talk. This is the car park. This is where this morning it was quite funny because we were all here and it was just all Eastern Bloc cars, and then once the trams were out we were invited to bring our cars down into the Tramway village. Now two of the cars, or should I say one of the Eastern Bloc cars and one of the British cars, parked here. Got a Morris Minor and a Wartburg. So there's our first Eastern Bloc car, first of many Eastern Bloc cars we're going to see. So I'm not too sure why they've parked there. Maybe there wasn't enough room down the end. It's very Eastern Bloc down the end, but with British trams. So it's basically the best of both, the best of the British trams and the best of Eastern Bloc. There's the bridge where we were a moment ago. So let's walk down here. Oh yeah, one thing I want to show you here, which I think is an interesting feature. This section of tramway is double track, but here, if you look, it's not points. Look at that, it's called a gauntlet. So the two tracks are gauntleted together and then they separate again. So it saves having all the moving parts of a point. But obviously two trams can't be on the same section at any one time. They are quite common on tram networks today. Even Croydon has got one on their tram network. There's where it goes under a narrow bridge. Not quite as elaborate as this bridge, but it goes under a narrow bridge and you've got a gauntleted section. You can just see another tram setting off. It's unseasonably warm for October. It's not really hot, but it's just a nice day. So what they've done, they've given a couple of the open top trams an outing, which is quite nice because you wouldn't normally get to see them in October. And one of them's coming along now. We've already seen the boat. Here comes an older Blackpool tram.
This one.
They call that a toast track tram for fairly obvious reasons. So you can see that's now making its way onto the gauntleted section and under the bridge. So we've got the Blackpool tram down here. There's another one up the line which we'll probably see later on. So far I've only had a ride on the boat tram. I'm going to have to, well, I'll try and clear all the trams today because they're all winning trams. I have had a boat in Blackpool before. Anyway, there's the bridge. Let's go and find some Eastern Bloc cars. That's the reason we've come here today. We'll just walk past the depot. I'm not going to do a whole tour of the depot because there's a lot in there to see, but there's so many trams here. I don't think they could possibly run them all on one day, even all the working ones, because you know the line simply wouldn't, you'd just be waiting constantly for other trams to move. But this is the tram depot, so it's really nice. You can just walk into a classic tram depot. With the exception of Blackpool, there isn't really many traditional tram depots in the UK. There are some. There's places like Heaton Park which are great, but there's nowhere else in the UK where you're going to see this many trams, especially the fact that some of them are operational. If you're coming to visit, another good place to have a look, I'm not going to go in there now, but there's the exhibition hall, so there's some of the non-working trams in there. Now, there's a whole lineup of various different trams. That one I think's quite fascinating. Sheffield's last trams. That was the last tram to run in Sheffield in 1960. Of course, by the mid-90s, trams were back in Sheffield because they, you know, realised that trams weren't actually such a bad idea. Let's have a quick look here. What have we got? This tram is worth. Well, this is a Blackpool tram. This tram here fits in with today's video quite nicely. Although it's not out. Look, that is a Berlin tram, I believe. So that would good to get one of the Trabants in here because it would fit in nicely. So if you have a look, you can see some German writing on there. And they usually use that tram because it's the tram that wheelchairs can get on and off. So it's usually out, but obviously it isn't today. The London tram there. That's one of the slightly newer Blackpool trams. So that's quite an interesting vehicle because it's a lot newer than most trams, but it's not as new as the second generation ones. It's still like a one sort of carriage vehicle. So we're going to come back out the tram depot, and what we're going to do is we'll go down to where the Eastern Bloc cars are displayed. So they call that a rail coach. So Blackpool had the rail coach trams. They had the boat, which we've seen, and there was also the balloon trams. I think there might be one in there. They're the big double-decker trams. That's also a Blackpool tram. So there's a lot from Blackpool here. Right, let's go and have a look at the, I can just see through the fence, the Eastern Bloc cars. So what we'll do, we'll go out of the depot and we'll walk along, we'll have a look at each one of them. There's quite a few here. I think they're expecting about 10 Eastern Bloc cars and nearly 40 turned up. So that's it's been a very good turnout today. So we're just going to here, and here we have a lineup of Eastern Bloc cars. There's quite a few here, more cars down there. Let's cross the road, we'll have a look at them. Oh, this is the pub, by the way, so you can go in there and have a drink. What would be nicer, sitting having a beer in amongst all these Eastern Bloc cars, and as I say, trams going past. It makes a very exciting day out. So here we go. That's a Wartburg. We've already seen one Wartburg up at the top, so you know, very much in keeping with East Germany. You'll see them in Hungary. When I first started visiting Hungary more than 10 years ago now, Wartburgs and of course Trabants were everywhere. You'll still see them, but not in the same numbers. And of course Ladas you'll see in Hungary, and if you go to Eastern Europe, Bulgaria is good for Eastern Bloc cars. We've got two Moskvitches here. We've got this one, and we've got the more traditional looking Moskvitch. Again, in Hungary, I've seen a few of them on the road. You don't see them in huge numbers. Across to here, there's this is quite an interesting car. This is a make that tram enthusiasts associate with trams. That's a Tatra or Tatra. I've ridden Tatra trams all over Eastern Europe. This year I went on some in Riga, but you'll see them. Budapest still has some of the East German cities still use Tatra trams. I've been on them in Romania, so it's nice to see a Tatra car. I think there is an ex-Huller Tatra tram here somewhere. I have seen it before. Then we have some Skoda Favorits. I remember very much when I was a child. Look, 3 Skoda Favorites and a estate in the middle. When I was a child, you'd often see Skoda Favorit. Well, even until fairly recently, you'd see Skoda Favorites. So they were sort of a car, you know, I knew of when I was a lot younger. Another Trabant, and then a slightly different Trabant, one convertible. I think what they call a Kubel wagon. I've seen these also in like military cars. This one's blue. So that's our sort of first lineup of Eastern Bloc cars. We're going to walk down here. I'm going to get out of the way because there's a tram, the Blackpool tram. I'll be walking towards where it would go. So we'll have a look down here, see what else we can see. Look at that, there's an FSO Polonez. So that's Poland nicely represented. I went to Poland earlier this year for the first time. Went to Katowice and it was great. Oh look, and there's a Polish car, an FSO 125 estate out on the move. What's he doing? I'm not quite sure what he's doing, but he's got his engine going. Is he coming this way or not? He's reversing. But that's a right-hand drive one, so that is incredibly rare. I mean, my Lada, a right-hand drive Lada, that is rare. Not as rare as that. Well, that's right-hand drive as well. So these are really, really rare cars. I'm not too sure where he's off to. Let's walk. Oh, is he going to put the 2 right-hand drive FSOs together? I think that's what they're doing. I think that's what they're doing anyway. But I think that's a brilliant car. So that's like the Polish equivalent of my Lada. It's a very similar body. Basically, the FSO 125P is derived from the Fiat 125P. My Lada comes from the Fiat 124, although the body has been changed slightly. So if we stand here, look, Look at that, there's 2 Polish right-hand drive cars in the UK. That is, like I say, very, very rare. Let's have a look, see what else we got. Another Trabant, another Wartburg, another Trabant, and a Fiat 126. Now Trabant are known for being 2-stroke. There is, somewhere there was a 4-stroke Trabant, well there certainly was yesterday. Maybe it's not here today, but the 4-stroke Trabants, they have a different front. They have an unequal looking front. There's another FSO, an FSO pickup. I've seen quite a few of those in Hungary, and then here's the FSO, or the Polski Fiat. So that is like the saloon version. So it's again a derivative of the Fiat 125. We've got 2 more Trabants here. Another Trabant, Skoda. These are the rear engine Skoda. So I'm sure the owner won't mind if we walk around here. We should see, is the engine, yeah, look, see, the engine is in the boot. So if you own one of these, you put all your stuff in the bonnet. And this Skoda here, Skoda Estelle, once again, it's a rear engine Skoda. And I think with these ones, I saw one in Hungary once, the bonnet actually opens sideways like that. So you put all your stuff there, so you get quite a lot of stuff in there. This is like the Skoda corner. Oh, look, the Blackpool boat is departing. There's my Lada. Sorry.
Oh yeah, very nice.
Hello. So there goes the Blackpool boat. Let's have another look at the rest of the cars. So we've got a Skoda. We've got another right-hand drive FSO Polonez. So again, that's very rare. That's an older Wartburg. That's quite an interesting car. There's a Trabant, and then there's my Lada parked there.
I imagine I'm going to need him.
Across the road. This is the tram stop. So this is like the tram terminal here. So this is the people there. They're waiting to catch a tram. And I think the next one to go might be the Sheffield, the double-decker one, the one we haven't seen yet. So I might try and get on that one. But it's quite nice having my Lada here. So every time a tram comes, I can pose my Lada here. It's funny, you don't need to go back in time to experience these kind of scenes. You can just come to Derbyshire today, come to Crich and see Eastern Europe and vintage trams. It's great. It's it's just well, I wish we did things like this all the time. I wish we had more tramways in the UK. I think trams are one of the best forms of transport ever. There we go. It's the right-hand drive FSOs. It's really good to see those two come together. One other thing I think we'll quickly do while we're here, there's a really fascinating display in this building to do with the trams, which I could literally look at all day. Let's have a look. This is the old assembly rooms from Derby. The facade of the assembly rooms, they've rebuilt it here. This would have all been just countryside once. We go in here, this is like the small artefact museum. I'm not going to show you all the artefacts, but what I am going to show you is something. There's some really nice pictures on the wall, but what I wanted to show you was this here. And I found the light is not working with it, but basically what it is, it's a map. We get closer, you can see it. It shows every town and city in the UK that once had trams. So small places you wouldn't think of, like Northampton, Luton, they once had trams. It shows you where they used to go. Now let's see. Let's have a look. There's Blackpool, of course. Go down here to Greater Manchester. If you have a look, see the purple lines? They are today's tramways. So they're the second generation trams, and the black ones are the closed ones. Although if we look at Blackpool, you can see Blackpool is the only first generation tramway that survives. But I find it fascinating. Look, you've got Lancaster, Carlisle, Ayr. Who would ever thought Ayr had trams? Kilmarnock, York had trams. I think this is brilliant. Imagine if all these places had trams. It would just be amazing. There is, information on second generation trams. You've got Croydon, Tyne-and-Wear Metro, if that's more Metro, Croydon again. It would be amazing if, I know some of these places do have trams, but it'd be amazing. I mean, Leicester, that's another city that really should have trams. Again, I just wish everywhere had trams. Like when you go to other European countries, Germany is probably the best example. In Germany, just about every city other than Hamburg has trams. So it would be great if we had more tramways in the UK. What we're going to do now, we'll just go for a walk up there. I'm hoping to see the Sheffield tram come back. One other thing I did just want to show you. If you have a look at the end of the tram terminus, that is actually a filled-in bridge, because before it became Crich as we know it today, the wonderful tram museum it is today, this would have all been just rural Derbyshire, but there's a quarry up there, and one of the oldest railways in the country would have taken the stone down from the quarry down here, and that is actually a bridge. So where I'm standing, about there somewhere, would have been the arch of the bridge, and it continues on through people's gardens. One day I'll have to try and walk it. I have walked further up in the past and seen the parts of the old tramway, a different form of tramway. Up on the hill up there, that looks like a lighthouse. It's not a lighthouse, it's a war memorial to the Sherwood Foresters. I went up there back in 2020 and I filmed some trams from up there. So that's, if you want to see that video, have a look at the link on screen now, that's worth doing. I think the Sheffield tram is going to come down here, because what happens, the trams up there, the passengers get off, they run empty to here, and then you can see people waiting at the tram stop to catch their tram. So if he doesn't come down here, we'll go and have a look. But we'll see that arrive, and then I'll have a ride on that, because I've had a ride on the Blackpool tram, the boat. Haven't been on the tow truck tram yet, but whenever I go somewhere, I always do what's called clearing my winners. I ride each form of available transport there is. I'm going to walk up here because I'm not sure if he's going to come down just yet. So we'll go and have a look at the Sheffield tram as it's out, and then I think that'll be the end of today's video. I'm going to spend the time enjoying the presence of the Eastern Bloc cars and the trams. So let's just walk past this one tram. Just wait for someone. So I was just waiting for someone to take a picture. So here we are, look. Poland and Britain. Poland's got some really good tramways, although I've only so far been to Katowice, or the upper Salian urban area. Anyway, there we go. There is a Sheffield Corporation tramway still out, and earlier on it said Rotherham at one end and Sheffield at the other, which of course you can still get a tram or tram train from Sheffield to Rotherham. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. Please do feel free to like, subscribe and comment. And from Eastern Bloc Derbyshire, goodbye.
No, all right.